Just obtained exclusive dashcam video showing the moment actor Alec Baldwin crashed his SUV on the East End of New York's Long Island.
To avoid hitting him, I hit a tree. I hit a big fat tree and crushed my car, my wife's car. I crushed my wife's car. I feel bad about that. But
the actor, an outspoken Trump hater, claimed on social media that he was driving his wife's Range Rover with his brother Stephen Baldwin in the passenger seat.
Alec Baldwin just crashed his car. He says a giant garbage truck cut him off that made him swerve, and the SUV went straight into a tree. No injuries reported, no ticket given. The case was closed, but only on paper. But is that really the whole story? Could stress, fatigue, or even family issues be in the mix? Things are unclear, but the past sees a pattern, and that's why a minor crash suddenly feels like a much bigger moment. It happened in East Hampton, New York, in the late morning of October 13th, 2025, the day after the Hamptons International Film Festival wrapped its big weekend.
Alec Baldwin crashed his SUV on the East End of New York's Long Island. The video is from the front-facing camera on a commercial truck. You're seeing the truck here making what's believed to be a legal right turn, and then it slows down.
Seconds later, Baldwin's SUV is seen hitting a mailbox and a tree off to the right side of the truck. The actor, an outspoken Trump hater, claimed on social media that he was driving his wife's Range Rover with his brother Stephen Baldwin in the passenger seat. He said he was trying to avoid hitting this truck, so he veered off the road into the tree. It does not appear, though, that anyone was injured in the crash, but obviously not Baldwin's first encounter with police. Now the questions, was he trying to squeeze around the truck? Was he not paying attention and didn't see the truck until the last second? But great video there to show at least the moment that it all happened.
Alec was driving and his brother Stephen Baldwin sat in the front passenger seat. The car was his wife Hilaria Baldwin's white Range Rover SUV. Alec says an enormous trash hauler nudged into his lane and he jerked the wheel. The Rover hit a tree and the airbags blew. No one was hurt and police officers showed up fast, but the paperwork was minimal. If you've ever had a near miss behind the wheel, you know the feeling. Heart in your throat, time stretching, every sound too loud. That's Alec's picture, an oversized truck easing across, a blink of instinct, rubber slipping, and a tree that seemed to come out of nowhere. He tells it with dry humor, and can you believe this cadence?
I just want to post a quick message. I got all this inquiries about my car thing this morning. I was in a car accident this morning. I'm fine. My brother Stephen was out visiting me on Long Island, and we spent the weekend out there for the film festival. But this morning I was in this car accident. A guy cut me off in a truck, big garbage truck. I mean, a garbage truck the size of a whale. I've never seen a garbage truck. It must have been something commercial for like taking away material from construction or something. It was the biggest garbage truck I've ever seen. And to avoid hitting him, I hit a tree. I hit a big fat tree and crushed my car, my wife's car. I crushed my wife's car. I feel bad about that. But
And with Baldwin, the frame rarely stays just a frame. Why did a local crash travel everywhere? Because Alec told it first, and his phrasing hits the right marks. He thanked the officers first, then sends his love to his wife, and lastly played the everyman who blew a Monday. The web multiplied it, attached 1,000 takes, and turned it into conversation fuel. Fans saw candid charm. Critics saw another episode. Attention is gravity around his name, and it keeps pulling because it was Hilaria's car. Her name gets pulled into the slipstream. The only fact that matters here, it was her car, and it's totaled. He said he felt awful and told her he loves her. The rest is the internet dusting off old debates that don't change this scene. Which brings us to the piece everyone reads between the lines. Alec and Hilaria, away from the feeds, Baldwin and his wife run on a very real rhythm. 2 careers, a big family, and a house that never seems quiet. They've built a life where public moments and private chaos constantly overlap. School runs, work calls, birthday candles, then back to the spotlight. She's active online, he's quick with a story. And together they tend to meet headlines head-on instead of hiding from them. That closeness shows up in the small details, his quick thank yous. The way he tells her he loves her in the same breath as he recaps a mess. Supportive? Often. Complicated? Of course. Most long relationships are. And when something jolts a normal day, like a sudden swerve into a tree, their dynamic becomes part of the read. Some people see a united front, others see pressure points. The truth usually lives somewhere in the everyday work they do to keep a very public family moving forward. Small accidents like this feel larger when a history of headlines hums underneath. When the official version says evasive swerve, no ticket, comment sections reach for highlighters. Once a pattern becomes a lens, folks look for familiar shapes, even when none are there. Alec already carried a highlight reel of headlines. Paparazzi run-ins. A tense voicemail that never quite left the public memory. A tarmac dispute that turned into days of jokes. A neighborhood parking dust-up that lit up tabloids. Political parody on late-night TV that made him a hero to some and a target to others. None of these moments define a whole life, but they build a reputation, quick temper, quick quips, and a knack for saying things the internet doesn't forget. So when a small car crash hits the feed, people don't start from zero. They start from that scrapbook. And that scrapbook is exactly why the next section matters. There's another weight sitting in the front seat of every Baldwin headline, whether he mentions it or not. The on-set tragedy from his film Rust. It lives in the background like a low hum. Investigations, hearings, filings, statements, and a lot of public second-guessing. Accusations surfaced, positions hardened, and the courtroom back and forth stretched over years. Even when the case moved in fits and starts, the perception never really went quiet. That kind of spotlight doesn't clock out when you leave a set. It follows you into interviews, into feeds, even into a random Monday drive. So when people look at a routine crash and start wondering if there's more to it, they're not just reacting to a tree and a tow truck. They're reacting to a story that's been building since 2021. Fair or not, Rust colors the frame. It doesn't rewrite what happened on that East Hampton road, but it changes how a lot of folks read it. One post can do more than a press conference. Alec led with gratitude and affection. It framed the moment before others framed it for him. That steadies the landing whether people say, "Glad you're okay," or "Here we go again." Could he be having family issues or marriage problems? That line always appears. You can acknowledge stress without inventing scandal. There's also the unverified whisper. Were marriage stresses in the background that morning? It's guesswork, yet it shapes the narrative. Long relationships have rough edges. Multiply that by cameras, tabloids, and comment sections. Over the years, moments with Alec and Hilaria have popped up that fans read as tense. A clipped exchange on video, a photo with tight expressions, a caption that feels like a dig. Sometimes it's playful banter that looks sharper out of context. Other times, a stray quote or a stressed look turns into a 48-hour "what's going on?" The couple have also been quick to show support for each other after rough cycles. The reality is usually less cinematic, two busy people, a loud life, and occasional sparks that look bigger under stadium lights. Still, those snapshots, fair or not, prime audiences to see stress even when the immediate story is just a swerve and a tree. Which makes it worth rewinding. How did Alec and Hilaria even start? They first crossed paths in New York City back in 2011 at a restaurant where Alec spotted Hilaria and struck up a conversation. The connection stuck. They started dating that summer. He proposed the next spring, and they married in June 2012 at St. Patrick's Old Cathedral. It sounds storybook because, well, it kind of was quick but deliberate, with both of them saying they kept the early days surprisingly low-key before the public knew. Simple timeline, big ripple. A chance meeting, a fast engagement, and a wedding that set the stage for a very public family life. Since then, the family has grown a lot. Alec and Hilaria share 7 children together, plus Alec's eldest, Ireland, from his previous marriage. You'll see the crew pop up often in their posts. School runs, beach mornings, birthday chaos, and front row cheering at Hilaria's dance nights. For viewers, that context matters. Big families are joyful and loud, and the logistics alone can turn any ordinary Monday into a sprint. Names you'll hear again and again: Carmen, Raphael, Leonardo, Romeo, Eduardo, Maria, and Hilaria, spanning little kid energy to tweens, alongside Ireland, who's built her own life and career. That's the backdrop to everything else in this story. Their home is busy, public, and always in motion. Before we zoom out further, there's one more person at the curb that morning: Alec's brother. Stephen wasn't just along for scenery. Festival weekend pulls family into the Hamptons, and brothers use drives like this to actually talk real life, work, kids, the stuff you can't cram into texts. Stephen and Alec have always been contrasts in the same frame. Different temperaments, different public lanes, same last name, and a long shared history. They're brothers who've had seasons of distance and seasons of lockstep, but when things get weird, the default setting is still family first. That's why his presence matters here. It explains the second seat, it adds a layer of calm to the retelling, and it quietly reminds everyone that Baldwin headlines are never just solo acts. On that road, Stephen was in the front passenger seat, close enough to feel the swerve, see the tree, and help turn a bad moment into a survivable story. Even harmless crashes affect perception. Some see a survivor beat, near miss, grace, move on. Others see fatigue, another headline. Momentum is a mood. If audiences sense a tide coming in, this is a blip. If the tide's out, it's of course. Which reading wins depends on what lands next. Totaled Range Rover means paperwork, parts, and a gap in a busy family schedule. Stiffness for a day or two, a few retellings at dinner, then life resumes. The unglamorous part is a real story. Errands still need running. By noon, the story had already outgrown the street it happened on. It started with a post, Alec's voice, a quick thank you to the cops, a nod to Hilaria. And the clip ricocheted from phones to feeds. People were still scrolling festival highlights, so his name was already warm in the algorithm. Add one vivid line about a truck the size of a whale, and the internet did the rest. Old headlines crept out of storage, familiar opinions laced up, and a Monday crash turned into a Rorschach test. Fans saw lucky escape and a decent guy owning a mistake. Skeptics saw another chapter in a saga that never ends. The tree didn't change, the facts barely moved. What changed was the air around the name, history humming, timing amplifying, and one storyteller getting to the microphone first. Unless new footage appears, this fades. The file naps, the SUV's future becomes an invoice, and everyone goes back to life. Another post will replace this one. The online spotlight waits on the shelf for the next bend in the road. An East Hampton morning, a drifting truck, a hard swerve, a tree that didn't care, and a family car that paid the price. A reminder of how pressure and perception shape even simple days. Maybe it was a clean swerve and bad angle. Maybe stress nudged the odds. Things are unclear, but the past sees a pattern, and that's why people lean in. The only ending that matters today, everybody walked away. The rest is commentary, and commentary rarely stays small around Baldwin.